Hello, I'm Simon and welcome to Fiction Inside Out. Today we're gonna do a short dive into Witcher world and what do you need to do before watching Netflix series. No worries, this episode is totally spoilers free. Let's start with a bit of history, shall we? 1500 years before the main plot of the books, an event happened called Conjunction of Spheres. During this event, two or more worlds were merged together for a split of a second. In this second, all of unnatural things, like monsters and magic, penetrated from one dimension to the Witcher world. Scientists and mages claim that this event could actually happen more than once, and it could still occur again. First people who came to the unnamed continent of the Witcher world were non-humans. Gnomes and dwarves were thought to be the first, but soon after came the long-lived elves. These three races are also known as the Elder races. And although all three of them developed highly advanced cultures, they were not always living peacefully. After many years, almost 500 years before the main story begins, humans have come to the continent for the first time on their ships, and they created their first kingdoms. In the beginning, other races, especially elves, didn't care too much about humans and they looked down on them. This was because they were short-lived and they weren't as skillful in magic and craft as the others. However, over time they've noticed that humans are actually doing much better than elves themselves. They were very skilled in agriculture and most notably they had childbirth rate much higher than elves. Yep, elves weren't very fertile and elven women ovulated only once every 10 years. So elves started to feel threatened. And it's not clear who attacked first, but we can be sure that after years of fighting, human prevailed, and elves were assimilated or they ran into the wilderness. They survived in mountains and forests when they create small bands called Skoyatel, and they keep fighting for their freedom up to this day. Don't be deluded though, most of them can be simply regarded as terrorists who fight for freedom by killing and robbing the defenseless. Because of the rough history between humans and non-humans, there is a big racial segregation issue in the Witcher world. Humans hate non-humans and the other way around. But some non-humans understood that the only way to survive is to assimilate. And so they live in human cities and earning good money as dwarven smiths or halfling farmers and being a respected part of the society. Let's stop talking about races. Some monsters and witches, shall we? After Conjugation of Spheres, monsters found way to the Witcher world. Vampires, werewolves, drowners, ghouls, and other terrible things started lurking in the shadow and wandering through the realm of men. Most of the monsters from the Witcher world are pulled straight from Slavic, Celtic, or Germanic myths and legends, and that makes it so much more exciting to read about. Back to the monsters though. People weren't very skilled at fighting beasts. They built high walls for their cities, and they went to the fields always armed to the teeth, until some mages playing with genes and mutations found a way to create witches. In short, emotionless killing machines. The process of creating witches involved very complicated and painful mutations who only 3 out of 10 people survived. Did I mention only children could make it through? So the survivors had enhanced senses. They were much faster and stronger, which made them more efficient at killing monsters. Additionally, witchers knew basic magic called science, and they could also drink magic potions, which enhanced their abilities even more. Those potions were very toxic, and only witchers could drink them, but even then, they had to rest it off. Most of the people don't like witches too much. They think them as unholy, unnatural monsters, blaspheming to the regular people. Moreover, witchers are regarded as greedy and without feelings, cold as ice, monster slayers who care only to get paid. And witchers actually try to keep people in that mindset, unfortunately. So now let's speak shortly about magic. Magic probably came to this world with the Conjunction of Spheres. Gnomes and dwarves were probably the first one to learn magic, however they used it only in metallurgy and to enchant their weapons. Human mages were mostly trained by elves, and elves are regarded as more talented and skilled in magic overall. Magic comes in the form of 4 elements. there's fire, water, earth and air magic. It can be drawn from everywhere, but some places are easier to access than the others. Each of the elements gives special abilities to their users. So mages of air can levitate things, where mages of water can make it rain. Magic in this world is used everywhere. It is in infrastructure, in military, in scientific research, and heck, even in the cosmetics. Okay, so after witchers, monsters, and magic, there's still a little bit of time to introduce you to politics and geography of the Witcher world. So let's have a look on the Witcher map. We know only one continent in the Witcher world, and it is unnamed. In the west of the continent, there is a great sea. From the north and east, the continent is limited by the great mountain ranges. In the south, or rather southeast, there is a great desert of Korat. The whole south of the continent is occupied by great Nilfgaardian Empire. The empire, in a short period of time and after many battles, rose from small republic to the great empire, eating up the lands of the kingdoms nearby them and making them their own provinces. Doesn't that sound familiar? The empire is of course great in everything. They have great military, they have booming economy, and they have great easy and justice law. So who wouldn't like to be a part of the empire? Northern kingdoms are just a bunch of smaller kingdoms always squabbling and fighting each other over land. Sometimes they intermarry to get an upper hand over their common enemies. However, they are basically in a state of constant war and their borders change rapidly. I will do a separate video just about geopolitics of the region. However, for now, you just need to know that the main story takes place in northern kingdoms and that we will visit multiple courts, kings and queens in the series. For now, let's just say that the most important kingdom is the kingdom of Sintra, ruled by Queen Calanthe. Sintra is the only kingdom south from the great river Yaruga, separating Nilfgaard from the rest of the north. The kingdom grew strong under good rule of Calanthe. Will that be enough to stop the Nilfgaardian invasion? We'll surely see soon. West from the continent, we have Skellig Islands, which are home to great warriors and Viking-like riders, known to everybody as islanders. Few regions in the Witcher world are almost entirely populated by non-humans. That is, for example, the great range of Mahakam Mountains, dividing the continent into west and east. There is the place where gnomes and dwarves are having their kingdom, their smithes and their mines. On the west side of the continent, between the river Yaruga and the Great Sea, the great forest of Brokilon lies. That is the place where the mysterious Dryados live and where no humans have access to. I would love to tell you more about geopolitics and economy of the Witcher world. However, I guess I will do that in a more focused video. For now, just let me know what do you think about this one and see you next time.